Welcome to the Glam Report, where we turn the spotlight on the latest in beauty, wellness, and aesthetics, unveiling cutting-edge trends, expert insights, and the stories that shape the world of skincare. Get ready to elevate your glow with every episode. I am beyond thrilled to kick off our very first episode with an extraordinary guest, one who truly embodies the essence of excellence in skincare, Courtney Smith. Courtney, thank you so much for being with us today. You have gained quite the reputation in the business for achieving fantastic clinical results with your clients by integrating combo treatments into your practice. We would love to learn more about what you do every day to make such a successful business and to provide such amazing clinical results to your patients. So I'd love to know what is it about these combo treatments? Like, how do you think up these amazing combinations for treatments?
Thank you so much for having me, Amy. I'm so excited to be here. The Glacial has been a game changer in my clinic. I'm a solo esthetician. I do everything from the ground up myself, and the Glacial has made it to where I can basically imagine any treatment and make it happen. I can add it on to a hydrofacial. I can add it on to a skin pen. I can do it with my clear and brilliant laser. The options are endless. I'm using the body tip. I'm using the regular smooth tip, the microdermabrasion with the gloss treatment. You can even divide up and make it even more exfoliation, less exfoliation. So my personalization that I get with these treatments is so dependent on how the skin presents that day, what they're doing, what kind of home care I have them on. The skin is pretty ready to go when they come and see me if they're already my client. I have them conditioned for these bigger treatments. My clients don't necessarily come and see me every 4 to 6 weeks. I have them on a really good regimen at home. I have them using exfoliating agents that necessarily most estheticians wouldn't use. I like to push my treatments a little further, which is why the Glacial has been so amazing in my clinic because I'm able to do these peels, do these more advanced procedures, and get the cooling to the skin almost instantly and get the positive benefits with none of the negative.
So can you talk a little bit more about just how maybe it was before glacial skin came into your practice and in those scenarios where you're saying glacial means so much to that combo treatment, like what was the former? How did that work for you?
Sure. I think the industry was missing something and we didn't even know we were missing. So, with using lasers and these more advanced microneedlings at depths that are a little bit deeper, the skin's inflammatory process right after you do this is going to be raised. You're going to have swelling. You're going to have that inflammation that's inherent with that. We want that fresh blood flow. But when you can then go in with the cooling and instantly negate that, you're getting all the positive without. So my clinic without the glacial, I was still doing these procedures, maybe a little bit less invasive. But when they leave, they're uncomfortable. The Clear and Brilliant is an uncomfortable laser. The Moxie is an uncomfortable laser. It's hot. Um, you feel like you did something great, but if you can have the cooling with it, why not do something that's going to give you the results, make you more comfortable, and enhance the patient satisfaction? So for me, it's been a no-brainer. I will include it with the beginning of their facial sometimes with the glide for a couple minutes, and then I include it at the end. I would say in my clinic right now, the most that I'm doing is definitely the glide following my more advanced procedures. But if I have someone that comes in with lots of inflammation in their skin from the very first step of even the cleanse and after, I'm incorporating my glacial machine.
Mm.
I love to do a clear and brilliant on the face and then put them under the red light and take my body tips down on their arms to increase the healing and then work on some keratosis pilaris. There's so much involved with skin inflammation. We could talk about this for days and days with food and lifestyle and topicals, but I've never seen a device that works at healing the skin from the inside out in such a short period of time that I can combine with other things. So I'm obsessed.
That's awesome.
So I'm just, I have so many questions for you. I could dive, like to your point, we could talk about this for days. So as a clinician, I think that one of the obstacles for new clinicians or maybe less experienced clinicians or people that are working in a practice that have, I always like to call it a recipe. Like we have clinicians that are so used to just following a recipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need, this product for this long, and then you follow it by this product for this long and this facial protocol. how do you get to the point and like how does your mastermind think up all of these things that are off script, they're off recipe? Like, I'm going to do clear and brilliant and then do glide, and I'm going to do red light, and I'm going to throw in this product, and then I'm going to work on on the keratosis pilaris on the like, how do you approach this customization?
I look at every client that comes in my door as myself. I look at them from head to toe. When I start their initial consult, I don't try to project what I see on their skin until they tell me what their insecurities are. And so then I go, and if redness is an issue, we'll start from the top and we'll go down. Is it on the décolleté? Is it on the shoulders? Is there sun damage? Which it inherently is. We're living in South Florida where we get lots of sun here. So it's very rare that I have someone that I can't incorporate the glacial on their arms, on their chest. So I can double dose almost with these other treatments like the LED and do things double at the same time. So I wish I had a better answer. My personalization is part of what makes me who I am. Other than looking at them and wanting to give them the best service, I love that I don't have a boss at the end of the day telling me you can do this, you can do that. I'm able to take these products that Glacial provides, and the world's my oyster pretty much. I look at the body as where can I give them the inflammation treatment. So that's kind of what I just think of, like, where do I see it, where do they feel it, and where can I show them what this machine can do on other parts of the body.
Yeah.
There's you mentioned the body tip now a couple times, and that's something newer that we've brought online and have commercialized. And tell me more about that and just how you're using it, where you see the value in the body tip with your patients.
The body tip is so fabulous. I love using the body tip on the décolleté. So I even will do the full face with the smaller tip. I will switch over to the body tip and then do it all over the décolleté. And I use the weight of the handpiece to almost do a little bit of lymphatic drainage. And so I'll push it down. So I'll start on the face, go right underneath, drain everything down the sides. And I find that even with one side of the face, I will get this beautiful snatched look. And I love to show them. We'd love to keep it forever. It's a couple days of the snatch look, but the cooling and the inflammation that stays forever. So the value of providing something that's not short term combined with my more advanced modalities is just something I am very proud to have in my clinic.
Yeah. I I think it's amazing all of this customization that you do. I think that the experience that you must provide your clients is like none other.
I try definitely to do essential oils, and I like to provide a little bit of that spa feeling, but with a results oriented treatment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fluffy spa. I think that Glacial gives such a great opportunity for different business models to have the FX where you're really clinically focused on giving a great experience to the client and massaging. Whereas then you have the RX, you can go in and do more treatments. You're freezing and getting rid of hyperpigmentation and removing spots that we've never been able to do without lasers in the past. And even then, not everybody's a candidate for lasers based on their fits type and are they going to follow the post care. Whereas Glacial, pretty much anybody can do it.
I love your holistic approach, the way that you kind of look at the whole body. And we do live in a very inflammatory world. So, what types of things? I mean, this may sound very simple to you,
Yeah.
but for our listeners, they might not know. What exactly does inflammation look like to you? When your clients come in and you're like, I'm going to treat with the glacial device because you have inflammation, what does that look like to you as a clinician?
Sure. I will say there's not very many people that come in that can't be a candidate for my glacial. Inflammation to me, when I see come in, it's dryness, redness, cracking, irritation. It can just be an overall tightness in the skin. If they're not using products that are set up for them, they are stripping their skin. The oils are not there. They think that the stronger the products are, the better the result. And that's just not the case, especially with inflammation. I see a lot of my clients come in, especially my acne ones, on kits. They're on 4 to 5 different products that are all salicylic or benzoyl based. You can take some of those active ingredients out, put in a little more hydrating agents, change their diet a little bit, combine it with the inflammation busting power of the glacial, and you have a trifecta of like anything I've ever seen. Balancing the gut is just as healthy as us going in and cooling the skin from the inside out. And my success in my clinic with the glacial, I think, is very directly correlated to the full body approach of what are they eating? Are they consuming dairy? Are they seeing that non-inflamed acne all over the bottom of the chin? And so that's what I would say is my first sign of inflammation is going to be the redness, the irritation. But inflammation can be sneaky, right? It's not just redness. So we can see like psoriasis, eczema. There's all kinds of different skin issues that will help with the glacial. So it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
So I love what you just said. I'm going to grab a pen and write it down. You
Yeah.
said inflammation busting power. Do we
Mm-hmm.
have your consent to use
You
that
can
quote?
you can absolutely use
Because I
it.
love it. Like, I think we're going to weave it into our
I
marketing
love it.
immediately.
It's amazing, and like I absolutely believe in that. I was very excited to buy this machine, and since I've had it, it literally is running nonstop in my clinic. I need to hire more people.
What inspired you to bring this technology into your practice?
I have been a fan of cryotherapy since I have been an early esthetician way back in the day with sculpting. I love the technology of it, how it's changed over the years. Cooling is something that for inflammation we've been doing since the beginning. We have our clients ice. We use ice globes in our treatment. But now we have a way to do it at a deeper, more precision style cooling that's giving results that you can guarantee through our clinical studies that we've seen. So I would recommend it to everybody. If you don't have access to one, find a city that does. Go get one. If you have inflammation, if you have rosacea, the best thing I can tell you, besides getting on a really good regimen and looking at your diet, is going to be to fight your inflammation from the inside out with the glacial as a component.
You were talking earlier about just combo treatments and how you'll combine it with laser treatments. I imagine you've had patients that have done just the laser before you had glacial skin in your practice. Can you, assuming that's true, can you speak to their perception of the standalone laser treatment as opposed to the standalone laser treatment plus glacial skin post?
100%. This is something that I'm struggling with currently because I've gotten so successful. I have 13 clients that live on Nassau, and they fly me out every 6 weeks with my clear and brilliant laser and my carry-on and my skin pen. Now, instead of flying me out there, they want to make a trip here because one or two of them have had the glacial,
Oh my
and they are like, and I
That's
can't fly with my
fantastic.
glacial RX to Nassau, even on the NetJet. So they're coming here because they are all so excited to try the glacial. And I think that's a testament to the heat that you feel. It is a little uncomfortable. And so people are not wanting to do the downtime necessarily with these procedures if they know there's an option of not having it.
Mhm.
And it's such an easy, I don't even give my patients the option of not doing it without the glacial now. This is a treatment, it's together. This is what's going to give you the best results, and pair your results to be the healthiest with what I'm providing for you. So I don't give them the option. The glacial is included.
Okay.
I call it the laser and chill. That's my special
Okay.
right now.
All right.
If I really like them, I'll throw a dermaplane in there. But I mean, even such a simple procedure as doing a dermaplane biorepeal glacial glide. They are so happy when they leave.
It's a
They
great
look like a
combo.
glazed donut, and they are thrilled. And I couldn't be happier either for their skin. So it's just incredible. So to answer your question fully, no, I will not ever do it without. They don't want to do it without. They like the feeling of the glacial. With the clear and brilliant, they do feel a little bit of heat, I would say, but the reduction in it is 70 to 80% afterwards, like the tiniest bit. So it's worth it for sure.
Yeah, you have a very strategic approach, and I think that our most successful accounts are the ones that have realized that the clinical outcomes and the patient experience is so much better with the glacial treatments after these lasers and all of these other treatments that they don't really give the patient the option anymore because they know that they're deciding what's best for their patient.
Absolutely.
So it is very strategic. Tell me a little bit more, Courtney, about how you go about deciding like which topical products to use for your patients in combination with the glacial treatments, whether it's glacial glide or glacial gloss. I know that you, I want to say experiment, but I don't think you're experimenting. I think you know exactly what you're doing, but how do you kind of pick and choose what you want to use?
So my medical grade lines that I have in my clinic, I have 4 to 5. I'm going to be bringing 2 new ones on next year, but I take a lot of time. I make sure education is paramount. I need to know that who the people are making these, where's it being made, are the labs safe, so I'm very particular when I pick it. Obviously, Skin Better Science is a huge part of my clinic. I love it, but Face Reality is how I treat mainly my acne patients. So with my glacials, I incorporate a ton of the facial hydrocol mask from Face Reality. Now, nothing is, in my opinion, working as well as my glacial products with the gloss. But with the glide, when I have patients that are acne focused, I find that when I go in with these certain ingredients with the cooling that are more geared towards acne, I get better results sometimes.
Mm.
And that's newer for me because I'm learning as well with like pushing the boundaries of what I can infuse into the skin with the cooling. But so far, I've had zero negative effects with anything that I've put on the skin.
Yeah, that's great information to learn because like you, we use the glacial skin treatment products and we get really amazing results. We like all of our clinics are very happy, but we don't know what we don't know, right? And
Exactly.
so if you're treating condition specific things like what you said, if you're treating an acne client, are they going to get an even better result if you're treating with ingredients that are specifically formulated for acne patients? So that's the stuff that we really want to learn so that we can
Hmm.
share this knowledge with all of our providers and just like and continue to promote different protocols,
Yeah.
different products, things like that.
I think that the more time the estheticians spend in the treatment room with the glacial and not being cubbyholed into one glide at the end of a treatment, they're going to see such powerful benefits. So I would encourage people, if you have this machine, play around with it, play around on your arm, play on your mom, play on your the décolletés, grab a product that you wouldn't normally. That's safe. Use a mask that has the anhydrous activity, but it's beautiful. You really can't go wrong with
Yeah.
almost anything as long as it has that slip. I find that a lot of times I'll use my post hydrinity restorative mask after a really good procedure, but I'll even incorporate some of the hydrogel sometimes. If it soaks up, I'll put some of that hydrogel on and use that as a glide.
Yeah.
So I have lots of options.
Are you using any biocellulose masks?
I am. I love the biocellulose. Epicutis and Hydrinity are my 2 favorites right now. I think the quality of the ingredients are just as important as the actual biocellulose mask itself. I think that whenever you have a biocellulose mask that's all water, in my head, that's a little confusing to me because I want to infuse some really good ingredients in the skin, not just sterile water. So I
Right.
look for the masks that are going to have a couple more ingredients and really help me dive in more of the exciting things.
Yeah.
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 You talked about a minute ago about safety
Mm-hmm.
and playing around. And I don't think a lot of people look at a lot of other devices and think that there's the freedom to, to play around, so to
Absolutely.
speak. So I think, to me, I interpret that as your perception and experience is that glacial skin is really safe and allows you to mix, match, and do the artistic things that you do. Can you just talk about that, the safety profile, and just the ways in which you're doing these combos and just the safety profile, really, and the effectiveness at the same time?
Sure, absolutely. I have gone from doing a glacial once to twice a day after the end of my hydrofacials to now incorporating it with every treatment. I've just seen no negative side effects. So for me, I feel very safe to use it on every patient, whether it be at the beginning with the peel or the end. I see such a clinical difference in the inflammation that for me, there's no time that's bad. If I had employees, which I will eventually, I will feel safe leaving this machine with them and saying, go at it, use it all over the body, play around. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do when I get glacialists is put them in and say, listen, use your brain, use fun. Like,
Yeah.
what can you come up with that I can't come up with? But the sky's the limit, I think, when it comes to post-surgical, especially in the Miami, South Florida area. I get people all the time that are looking for lymphatic drainage. Cooling can be just as effective, especially with the weight of that handpiece, if it's done in a correct way. So I think what we're going to see come out, especially with glacial, is people are going to be doing combo protocols that we now put on the internet that we can share with other estheticians. The safety of this, though, is nothing to worry about. You can use this with anything at the beginning, at the end. I've had zero issues. And it feels very calm and exciting to all my patients. The first thing they say is, wow, this feels so good.
Well, you talked about protocols and just maybe putting them out on YouTube or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of, I was thinking about another question about, you know, you're doing combos all day, every day. It's kind of second nature for you.
Yes.
But for an esthetician or a provider out there that isn't as familiar with combo treatments, and you've talked about this already a little bit, but just how does somebody start to dabble or get into the combo treatments? And is there also like a revenue component and just how you think about the financial piece of it that is that you would recommend as far as anyone that's wanting to embark on combo treatments?
Absolutely. I think it is a obvious statement that when you combine combos, you're going to be making more money, ideally if you're charging more. The glacial is something that I've been able to add on and bring such a significant revenue in my practice without feeling like I'm adding on. It's the value of when I instill this in my procedure, they don't even ask the cost. I'm tying it in with what I'm doing. It's a no-brainer for them. I wish I had a specific recipe that I could give to every brand new esthetician, a book that tells you exactly how to do things. It's so dependent on the person in front of you. So the best advice I can say is listen to podcasts. Look at the books, look at
Like
the
this
YouTube
one.
videos. Yes, this is the podcast. You're going to learn all about how to use your glacial. But as an esthetician, school is not it. You learn it, but that is just the license. You need to go learn from mentors, clinical, and that's your bread and butter. Go and utilize who you see and who you find. But combo treatments, if you're working in a derm or a medical spa and you have access to these lasers and the microneedlings and these RF machines, and you have a glacial, use it. Just use it. Talk to your owner. If it's too expensive, whatever the case is, they need to make it more and tie it in. It is a no-brainer. It's an instant revenue maker. I don't want to say I've doubled what I've made since I brought on the glacial, but I'm pretty close to what my revenue last year was. I've doubled it.
Wow.
And that is
That's amazing.
in 3 months
Mm,
with my glacial.
that's amazing.
Well, for the listeners, you are also a record-breaking user of the glacial
Mhm.
skin
This was
device.
news to me as well.
Well, and in that vein, we do annual IC awards. And so that's to really award our top providers overall, and or maybe just for gloss or glide or whatever it might be. We have a number of different categories, like a lot of award shows, where we reward or award people these awards. So we have a new one, which is the top glacial
Stop.
provider in a month
Oh my
uh,
God.
that you have achieved.
Oh my goodness.
What did
That's
you do? You
amazing.
did like
78, I think, in August.
178 patients in a single month,
As a
which
solo
is a
SD.
world record.
I feel very honored.
World
To be
record.
honest, I told Amy, I feel like I could have been doing even more. Isn't that wild? But I
Well,
do.
I'm wondering like when, like how?
No, I don't know. I
I mean,
think
do you use like I don't like how do
I'm
you?
gonna film a whole day for you guys, and just I think it would be super interesting to see like the scope of what I do from male to female to knees to tummy tucks to lymphatic drainage.
I would love
I mean,
that.
it's just a full gamut, and every day is different. But there's not one single person I can't use the glacial on.
So I'm super interested about the logistics of this
Mhm.
because I like my head is like trying to figure out because I used to work as a like practice manager in a practice.
Mhm.
And how do you schedule something where you're like, okay, I'm this person's coming in for an acne treatment, acne facial, whatever it might be. But then all of a sudden, like you get to work on them and you're like, oh, I see inflammation here, I see inflammation there. Like, how do you schedule that out? And then what does the conversation with the patient look like when they're on your table and you're kind of consulting on everything that you can do for them? Like, how do you add in those treatments?
Sure. I think as business that has clients that have been coming to me regularly, they now trust me and they basically just go with what I say. But I can see when I get new patients and that trust is not established and they're kind of wanting to feel, does she have my best interest at heart? Is she just recommending the most expensive thing on her menu?
Right.
This is something that is affordable enough where they're going to see such significant changes in their skin that if I don't do anything else on them but a 10-minute glide, they will be coming back to me for something else. So for me, it's a no-brainer. The practice side can be a little bit I don't want to say scary with my timing. Right now, since I've become a glacial provider, I add on 15 minutes to every single appointment. As I'm getting used to like my flow, that extra 15 minutes helps me guarantee that if I upsell them and do the glacial, they will.
Very smart.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit, and I'm kind of playing around with my timing. Um, but I absolutely could be doing even more, and I love it. This machine is incredible.
Mm.
I'm going to be watching your numbers.
Okay, I feel like the power's on. But I do like if for me to, as a solo to be doing that, I don't think people who have these machines are utilizing them as much as they should be. Especially, I don't have an RF machine. I don't have a Morpheus. I don't have anything crazy. I don't have a CO2. I don't have ablative. I mean, it's an untapped potential for inflammation busting power. So I
Mhm.
just hope that people start
Nice.
utilizing it and taking after me and using the body tip and playing with it and seeing those results. Take the before and afters because people will not remember what their skin looked like
Mm.
before. You have to remind them, especially with inflammation.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So you were a while ago you mentioned using the body tip on keratosis pilaris, and we also talked about experimenting. And this is something that I have been wanting to experiment with myself as a clinician. I am so interested to hear about what your results are with the keratosis pilaris, and I'm assuming you're doing the glacial gloss.
I am sometimes. So
Okay.
depending on the skin, on the back of the arms, you get that little chicken scratch, keratosis pilaris feeling. But a lot of times the skin has been rubbed so raw by someone exfoliating with a washcloth or a
Mm,
loofah or a salicylic body wash at home that when they've
right.
come to me, they have this inflammation that may look like they need more exfoliation to me when exactly it's the opposite. So sometimes they are not a
Interesting.
candidate for the gloss with the microderm tip. I may be incorporating that prebiotic skin mist, but I may
Mhm.
not be necessarily scrubbing the skin with the microderm tip. I may go in with a more gentle, like an ultrasonic skin spatula, and then push in some of those products. My favorite for keratosis pilaris right now is doing the glacial peel for 10 minutes with the glide, with the body tip. I then take it off. If extractions are needed, I'll do a little minimal ones, and then I go in back with a snow algae mask from Glacial,
Mm.
seal it all in for about 5 to 6 more minutes while they're finishing up under the LED light. And then I coat them in a beautiful, beautiful Alpha Ret body cream at the end.
Nice.
And that is what we're doing.
So is that 2 cycles of Glide?
It depends. If I feel like they have a lot of inflammation or the size of the arm, I will say as well is a big deal. So if I have someone that's itty bitty and they
Yeah.
have like, you see girls that they have that hyper like the glue, the substance in the back of the arm, and it's stuck and you cannot get it out.
Right.
But then you also see people that are very overweight and the inflammation is so present in their body. And those are the people that I really try to hone in on. The diet is huge because I can help them outside with the glacial. But that internal inflammation is still going and we're fighting that constantly. So while the glacial is a great option for them, I'm always trying to correct from the inside out as a pair to really get the best results.
Right. Yeah, fascinating. I am very interested to learn what your favorite combination is.
There are lots of them, Amy. My current favorite treatment in my treatment room is going to be doing a glacial gloss followed by a skin pen microneedling, followed by another glide for 10
Love it.
minutes.
Mm.
It is incredible. They leave so happy. The collagen plump that we get, the inflammation gone. They are thrilled. They are excited. And then I typically will bring them back in a week to 2 weeks for another glide or two. And they love that.
Mm.
And then
Sign
I
me
check
up.
on them. I'm saying, how is your post treatment doing? How are you liking your topicals? At this point, they're on vitamin C. I love a good vitamin C serum in the morning. Tyrosinase inhibitors are grossly undervalued in our industry. Everybody should be on a tyrosinase inhibitor, especially for treating with the glacial freeze and other options. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not using the products that are going to give you the best benefit from these machines. So do yourself a favor, find these good topicals that pair well outside the ones that Glacial offers and make it your own.
I need to go back to your world record. Okay.
My world's record, guys. I think it's the only one I've ever broken.
Your world record, which I mean, you set the bar. Like the bar is high. but you've really almost did 200 patients
Mm-hmm.
in a month,
Mm-hmm.
glacial specifically,
Yes.
patients. How, where did all these people come from? Like, can you tell us a little bit about, because that's where my mind goes right away. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, a lot of providers are thinking about acquisition, like, how do I acquire more patients, blah, blah, blah. Blah. Like, how did you do that?
I started my clinic about 3 years ago, and I focus on ethics and integrity. I treat everyone's skin like I would want someone to treat mine. And that has served me so well. I've had incredible mentors and bosses over the years that have helped mold me in the medical aesthetic industry. Up until I got to South Florida, I've had fabulous, fabulous work environments where I've been valued and treasured. And I learned a lot about how these clients are brought in. How do you keep these clients? And when I got to South Florida, I had a physician that was not so great. And that is what prompted me to open my own because this area was lacking a really good esthetician that was giving clinical results in a setting where they felt valued and not just taking as much money from them as possible. And I think that that applies to any city in America or international. People want to be treated nicely and they want to know that you're going to give them a great result. And if you can provide that and they feel good at the same time, they will always come back.
Mhm.
So I have over 600 clients in my books now. So I think I'd already been set up for success with incorporating the glacial. If I was a brand new esthetician looking to bring as people in the door or a med spa, I probably would start with my estheticians going in and trying these devices on each other, but then going out and telling people, bringing in their family, bringing in 3 or 4 people, would you like a glacial glide for free? It's 10 minutes. Let me show you on one side of your face.
Mm.
When you do one side of the face and the other side,
Right.
it's unbelievable.
Mhm.
And so my clients, they trust me and they go with what I say. And like we spoke earlier, a lot of clinics don't have the ability to sell this included. Find a way where they can't say no. This is giving them such a value added on to whatever you're doing, whether it be the hydrofacial or just a simple dermaplane. This is going to make those results so much better. So keep those clients coming in by just making them happy, meeting their expectations, and giving them great products like the ones that we use now, like the glacial.
Do you use this? Do you do a glacial glide after every hydrofacial?
Almost every single time. The 1 or 2 times I haven't is because the client was late or they were not very nice to me.
How is that
I
possible?
know, it doesn't happen often, but
Jeez.
I didn't feel like she was worthy of the glacial glides. She got kicked out. I know, it's messed
Some people
up.
are grumpy.
Yeah, I said, yeah, you're
Lesson
not,
learned.
yes,
Don't be
she's
mean
gonna
to
hear
your
this and be like,
esthetician.
hey, I got the hydrofacial without the
Yeah,
glacial.
that was me.
But it's so easy to incorporate. When you have a $250 hydrofacial and you add a glide on at the end, that value has now gone to 350 in their mind with no questions asked. And it's so easy to do that.
And it
Yeah.
would typically be just 10 minutes.
10 minutes,
Yeah,
but they don't feel that it's 10 minutes. When
right.
you really are going slow and you're intentional with that handpiece and you are giving them that feeling of intentional care, that 10 minutes feels like a lot longer.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You talk about all these different combos, and then you talked a minute ago about the gloss skin pen glide.
Hmm.
Um, when you think about the hundreds and hundreds of people that you've treated with glacial, how, like, what's that record as far as the amount of time or that you've spent on one single patient using glacial?
I had a client that came in with massive amounts of psoriasis all over their body, which the plaques they build up. And so we did a little bit of exfoliation on her. It was all over her elbows, it was on her back, it was on her knees, it was just kind of all over the place.
Mm.
So we did 3 solid rounds of glide on each area.
Wow.
And I told her this was a little outside of what I've done on anybody, but I was willing to try if she was. The results were phenomenal.
Mm.
She now comes in every 10 days. We do the glides on her, and this is paired with her topicals that the dermatologist has her on. She now thinks that she doesn't need the topicals anymore.
Wow.
I'm going to be posting her pictures later on this month.
Okay.
It is crazy to think that something, a machine did this and not a medication. And we're living in a time where that's possible. And so it's very exciting that we're having people who have these inflammatory conditions at a time that we've never seen it before. The histamine in our foods, everything that we're including, we haven't had that before. So acne is at a rate, an unprecedented rate for adults and for teenagers. And so I'm seeing more acne in my clinic than anything else. And I've never seen anything work as well post extraction as a glacial glide. So I will say for my acne patients, my favorite protocol, this is a little bit more advanced, you guys. So if you're a face reality expert, stay tuned. This is a level 2 tip for you. You start with the hydrating enzyme. You're going to remove it. You're then going to do your extractions. After your extractions, you can then do a quick 10-minute glide. I then go in with the Face Reality chemical peel and do 1 to 3 passes. You can't use water after you use the peels. So that was my concern. How can I treat my acne patients after their extractions when you want to do the peel before
Right.
and it negates the benefits? So I have found that if I use my hydrating enzyme first, soften the tissue, do the extractions, go in and then do the glide, and then do my chemical peel,
It's brilliant.
it's brilliant. And it looks incredible. And they don't feel the peel as bad because their skin is a little bit cold from the glide. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
So
I
that is
love
a
that.
professional tip
Yeah,
for
pro tip.
I do have to share with our listeners the reason why you're sitting in this seat today talking about combo modalities. So, the Glacial Skin team had a VIP client that wanted to get the true glacial skin experience. And so we sent this VIP client to Courtney. And I believe that he's probably one of the 600 patients on your books now because
yes.
of the experience that he received at your practice. So, this customized approach that you do really, I truly think sets you apart from a lot of people in this industry because I think that your clients are really truly feeling that value of being seen as a human being, being seen holistically as a person, knowing that when they're coming to see you, you're treating them and wanting the best outcome for them, whether they want it to be beautification, whether they want it to be keratosis pilaris or plumping or whatever they're coming to see you for, like they know that you're going to give them the result that they want by doing all sorts of different approaches. And I truly feel like that customization makes your patients feel so special. So this VIP client who came for the one-time glacial skin experience is now probably a client forever.
He has booked a skin pen. And so we'll be doing the glacial glide on him,
Nice.
obviously, after the skin pen. So yeah, he's very excited. I think he is going to be a glacial lover.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So, Courtney, we were talking before we got on here a little bit, and I was, learning for the first time just some of your really incredible background and experience. And I think for all the success that you've achieved, and especially with us and Glacial Skin, it's always fun to kind of hear the backstory and just to understand your journey
Sure.
and where you came from and all that kind of stuff. So would you mind sharing that with us?
Absolutely. I have quite a unique journey. I left home at 17 and joined the United States Army. I had my 18th birthday in basic training and my 21st birthday in Afghanistan.
Wow.
We roasted a goat. I got given the hoof. I
Oh.
guess that's a sign of honor. So I was there for 15 months and came back to America, decided to go back or go to esthetician school. My mom was a massage therapist, so I kind of grew up in the spa. I loved that, but I really wanted to go a little bit further. I went to the esthetician school, got my license, decided I wanted to use my GI Bill to go to nursing school. So I then went to 4 years of nursing school
Wow.
in Colorado and wanted to be an injector. Hated it, hated everything about it, and came right back to skincare. So I am very thankful for the extra knowledge of knowing that the skin is the body's largest organ. It helps you in my clinic daily. So nursing school happened. Fast forward, I decided to go traveling and quit my job in Colorado. I was managing a dermatology clinic. We had 6 locations from Aspen to Breckenridge. Fabulous job. I did it for a while, decided I was burnt out, needed a break, sold all my stuff, went traveling, decided I was going to be a scuba diving instructor. for Patty. I'd been diving
I
since I was
love
a
it.
young kid. So I hitched a ride, went to Bali, went all over the place. I'm out in the Gillies, out west of Bali. And then I ended up in Thailand, January 2020. This is where I was going to do my professional Patty certification for scuba diving. And COVID happened. So I got locked down on a little island in Thailand called Koh Tao all the way from January to September of 2020.
Oh, was this a good thing or a bad
It
thing?
was not a good thing for my skin,
Uh,
but it was a great thing for me.
otherwise,
I think I missed everything going on here in America. But I found a little puppy on the side of the road while I was there. He
Oh,
was between 8 and 12 weeks old, had a huge cut in his back. Found him, took him to the vet, and fast forward, he's now here with me in South Florida. His name is Monkey, living his best life.
I love it.
So I've been an esthetician. I've been a nurse. I've been a soldier. Now I'm a business owner, and I've been done a little bit of everything. And I feel like all my experiences has shaped me into the person I am now. I probably could have done without the COVID Thailand one, but that was an
you
added
But it
probably
layer
made
of
you a
learned
fun.
doggy
something in
mama.
that, right?
Absolutely. My sunscreen did not hold up though. There was no Skin Better sunscreen for me out there. So I was definitely having to use some off-brand stuff for a while. But it was amazing. Now I came back here and I never saw myself opening my own business. I loved working for others. I loved having that mentorship and that guidance. Now having my own, I just feel so like the sky's the limit. And as an esthetician, being able to own these machines is something in the past that we may not have been able to do. It was the med spas, it was the dermatologists, the doctors. And so now, if you have that business acumen, if you take the time to learn your finances, learn how you can acquire your patients, this machine is going to set people up for success in a way that is unlike any other medical device on the market, in my opinion.
Like, are you just frankly, are you seeing any effects of some kind of economy shift or some, high inflation, which we know has been the case for a long time now, as years, or just kind of like the paranoia around elections and things like that? Are you seeing that from a consumer purchasing standpoint? Like, are you feeling that at all?
Not at all. South Florida may be operating a bit differently, but I have not seen any kind of influence in my clinic in the last 4 months, especially since buying the glacial. My numbers have been exponentially different and they were very consistent up until I got the glacial. Now, I will say I moved into a storefront at almost the same time I got the glacial. So it's a little bit of both, but like I said, I've almost doubled.
Hmm.
And so for me to go from a double in my revenue almost overnight with the addition of one machine when I already have four, that is obviously
Yeah.
the tie that is bringing it all together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have not noticed that. Maybe a little bit with my younger kids as far as how many products they're willing to purchase.
Hmm.
With me being their professional, I give them a setting of this is my expectation for you. If I'm going to be doing these advanced treatments, you have to follow my post care, whether it's going to be Skin Better or whether it's going to be Face Reality, whatever fits in their budget. At the end of the day, people are still going to have skin issues. They're still going to want to seek help. How you narrate that conversation is going to help them feel good about the money they're spending in your clinic. They're going to be spending it somewhere, whether it's at Sephora buying products that are not good for them, whether it's in your clinic spending a little bit more for precision tailored guidance that is going to handhold them through this skincare journey for them. And I think when you portray it in that light, it doesn't matter what's going on in the economy, it doesn't matter what the elections are. People will find the money to help the largest organ of their skin if they feel cared for and they're seeing results.
Yeah. And one of the thing that you made me think of as you're talking there, and you referred to some of your clients as kids. Um, and we've had other segments where we've talked about just the aesthetics industry, kind of the demographics of the industry relative to maybe history and that kind of thing. So, like when you say that, like what is kind of like that age roughly of maybe what's the youngest or what's kind of that group that you're referring to in that demographic of particularly age of people that are looking for aesthetic services?
Sure, I'm seeing at, I don't want to say an alarming rate, but I'm seeing a lot of kids that are that 20 to 27, not necessarily acne prone, but they are looking for advanced corrective procedures when they don't necessarily need some. They just need a really good corrective skincare regimen and inflammation biting technology. So if you can give them a hydrofacial that is very customized with a clarifying booster and then go in with a glacial glide after, they don't need a clear and brilliant when they're that young, unless they
Right.
have tons of sun damage. I would still rather get them on a prescription medical grade skincare regimen that I personally tailor for them than just going with these random things. I don't have any clients that are not on skincare that I recommend. Whether they start off with one or two when they first start, or whether they have the entire Skin Better lineup by the time they're done. I try to find a happy medium. I don't over give, but there are certain quality things like vitamin C, tyrosinase inhibitor. You need a high quality retinoid on the skin. One that's buffered is going to give you results much better than a tretinoin on the market. And so it's just finding someone that has the knowledge, has the wherewithal to care, and then can tie it together with the technology of these machines in a way that is affordable, but also going to give the value. Don't think of just the money. It's not the most important part.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, we've talked a lot about customization and your approach and strategy to customizing and personalizing your approach to your patients. That isn't only clinical, right? I mean, that's also, okay, this is what I recommend for you, but let's also pair that with what you can afford and start you on a skincare regimen that makes sense for you. It could also mean like if you are treating that younger demographic, they may be able to afford 6 products, but are they going to use 6 products?
Yes.
They may not. So that all I think comes into play with this customization and personalization is how much can you afford? What will you use? What do you need? And now let's prescribe exactly what is going to get you results.
The quickest too. My acne patients are so interesting to me. I've worked on as young as 9 before. She was suffering with PCOS at a very early age, and she had lots of facial hair, lots of cystic acne. I'm not sure her total background on what was led, but I think there were some comorbidities that were going on, some autoimmune issues. But I have treated as young as 9. I wish I would have had the glacial in my practice when I had her, because I think I could have done her so much better than just doing these peels alone. So the younger group, this is such a great way to get them started on a healthy skincare journey in a way that's not so scary for them. We're not burning your skin. We're not going in and causing a lot of issues. So I think that the young kids, they start as young as, now 13, but now I would say my general area is not just anti-aging. I'm not seeing these 40 to 60-year-old women every single day like I was before. I'm seeing these younger girls that want to prevent. They don't want inflammation. They don't want bags under their eyes. They want to have that skin tight and taut, and not necessarily just with Botox and fillers. We're more doing that ground up foundation of the skin, and the glacial does all of that.
What about men?
Men, they have skin. We have females have skin, men have skin. It's the body's largest organ. Men love the glacial. I honestly thought that it was going to be the other way around, because the cold for some people sounds a little scary. This is not an uncomfortable procedure by any means. In fact, within the first 10 seconds, when I put someone on this, whether it be after an advanced procedure or just at the very beginning, wow, this feels so good.
Always.
Have you
Always.
ever put anyone to sleep with it?
I have put a couple people to sleep, because if sometimes when I'm doing 2 glides, or if they're under the LED light and I'm working, I'll hear that snore and I'm like, okay, here we go. But my favorite thing ever, when I feel the way that skin has that almost frozen feel, and then it starts to dissipate, and I just watch that beautiful glow disperse. Oh, that donut
The
glow.
glacial glow.
The glacial glow. I love it.
I just really love how you approach all of your clients holistically, and it's very evident that you believe in the fact that inflammation is the root of all disease and all skin issues, and you're treating the root cause of all of these things. So I just really love your approach, Courtney.
Well, thank you so much. I am very happy to do what I do, and I can honestly say that in no other time in my aesthetics career do I feel as prepared to work on people's skin in a way that I can really give them the best best value and the best results.
Courtney, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for, and congratulations for being one of our super users, world record.
World's record. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I
We
feel so
appreciate
incredibly lucky.
learning from you. It's been great today to hear about all of your different combo modalities and how you're using glacial skin in your practice.
Well, glacial skin is going to forever have a place in my clinic. I feel very lucky to have it, and I can't wait to see what else I'm going to do with it in the future.
We can't wait either.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Courtney.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Glam Report. A big thank you to our guests for sharing their expertise and insights. We hope you found today's episode as inspiring and informative as we did. To our amazing listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and share it with others who are passionate about wellness, skincare, and learning about industry trends and how to be successful in their aesthetic business. Until next time, keep glowing and radiating your best self.